freezing rain, sleet, snow. Love it or hate it, winter is almost here. From hazardous road conditions to the groceries you buy. Winter in the Midwest can impact you at any time. Our meteorological team, JD, Jeff, Kaylee, Nicole, and myself have studied every angle of the forecast to help you know what to expect when we say the two words most children love to hear: snow day. Good evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Gary Lezak. Tonight, the 41 Action News weather team is excited to prepare you for this winter season that is coming to Kansas City. One of the main factors that will determine what will happen this winter is El Nino.
I am El Nino. All other tropical storms must bow before El Nino. Yo soy El Nino. For those of you who don't habla español, El Nino is Spanish for the Nino.
Oh, my goodness.
It is perfect because that's been what everyone's talking about when you talk about the winter and a prediction. El Nino, El Nino, El Nino.
I know. So what is it? You're going to let us know. That is right. This El Nino continues to grow, and it could be the strongest ever recorded. What is this phenomenon? Meteorologist Kaylee Dion explains.
So what is El Nino? Well, we're going to talk about a couple of different things. One, no two El Ninos are exactly alike. So when you're talking about El Nino 7 to 10 years ago, it's not going to be exactly the same. And we need to stop using El Nino as an adjective. There is no such thing as an El Nino storm. El Nino is a temporary change in the climate over the Pacific Ocean. So what happens is, in a normal time frame, you have strong east to west trade winds, and they're strong in pushing all of the warm air from the equator to the far western edge of the Pacific. So when you have all of that kind of push to one side, warm water, evaporation, that's where you have a more active weather pattern, typhoons, thunderstorms. In an El Nino, you still have those east to west trade winds, but they are much weaker. So it doesn't push all of that warm water to the far western Pacific. It kind of builds up over the eastern Pacific for spots like South America, Latin America, and the United States. This happens, that warm water, and then the winds get weaker. And then when winds are weaker, the water's warmer, and that cycle continues for several months. So this El Nino that we have this year has been setting up for the past 6 months or so and can last to about a year. Now, normally with the United States and the impacts from an El Nino, a cooler, wetter southern United States for the Northwest, a warm setup, and a dry setup for the Midwest. But again, as we talked about at the beginning, no two El Ninos are exactly alike, and it's just one of the puzzle pieces that make up our winter forecast. So we're going to continue throughout the show to put all those pieces together, and we'll have our winter forecast for you.
All right, Kaylee, thanks a lot. Whether we get a lot of snow or just a little, driving in it is always a pain, Nicole.
Right, and you know what? Our lives don't stop when there's a winter storm, and because of that, crews are working hard to keep you safe on the roads. Now, it starts by using over 18,000 tons of salt and more than 40 plow drivers out at a time with so much ground to cover. These drivers are behind the wheel for up to 12 hours at a time.
On the Kansas side is we've got Johnson, Wyandotte, and Leavenworth counties. So within our KC metro area, we literally cover 2,550 lane miles. So what that's including is every lane on every interstate, every highway within the metro area. That's a lot of miles if you think about it, given when a winter storm comes in.
Keep in mind that when crews are out working, be sure to give them plenty of room. Stay at least 3 car lengths away. Gary?
All right, thank you, Nicole. When there is a major snowstorm, there are rules you have to follow to avoid getting your car towed or ticketed. The city will declare either a Phase 1 or a Phase 2 snow emergency. In phase 1, driving is prohibited for anyone without snow tires or tire chains. And in phase 2, any vehicle parked on a snow route must be removed within 2 hours so snowplows can get through. Now, here are the rules for parking. On a street that runs north and south, park on the west side of the street. For streets that run east and west, park on the north side of the street. If you can, the city asks that you park off of the street. Now, not only do you need to avoid icy roads, but you also have to avoid icy sidewalks. Meteorologist J.D. Rudd continues our team coverage on what you need to know to protect your body from a lot of damage. J.D.
Yeah, Gary, and it can happen quickly, too. This time of year, it becomes common for us to wipe out almost just walking to and from our vehicles. Think for a second how many times you almost wound up on your backside thanks to those slippery conditions in the winter. So what can you do this winter to prevent yourself from winding up on that cold concrete? Keeping in mind a few trouble spots is key, like sidewalks. They can often be icy. They can be uneven, too. You hit the lip of one of those, you trip, you could biff it in no time. Steps, maybe a hidden step or two at a business you didn't know was there. It's covered under snow. That could be an issue. They could be slick as well. And keep your yard in mind, like tree limbs or tree roots you may trip over, a child's toy, something like that. Rocks in the yards could be an issue. Just some food for thought. What are some things that you can do to help yourself out? Wear proper footing. This really goes for ladies out there. Use the handrails, too, especially if going downstairs. This is the big one. Keep your hands out of your pockets. Have those to catch yourself if you fall. And the biggest one these days, avoid your cell phone distraction like talking and texting, walking and texting, all that. Now, what happens if you do slip and fall, if you get injured? Document the scene. That's where this becomes your best friend. Take a few photos. Talk to witnesses. Record them on your cell phone. And keep in mind that laws differ from a home versus a business. You'll want to consult a lawyer no matter what happens. If you do find yourself hurt, get a professional right away. Just a few tips that you can keep in mind as you shuffle through the slush this winter season. Gary.
All right, thank you, J.D. We have much more ahead on our winter special, including my prediction for this winter season. Will we have a warm, dry, wet, cold winter? I will let you know the answers when I reveal the forecast based on the LRC. And when the snow starts falling, your car takes a beating. The simple steps you can take to keep your car from rusting and falling apart.
Winter weather affects the prices of the hard red winter wheat, which in turn affects your wallet at the grocery store. I'll let you know why coming up.
Plus, winter months is when your child is anxious to hear those two magical words, snow day. Making the decision to cancel class is a hard decision for schools to make. We talk with one superintendent on what he does before making that call.
Describe snow to me.
Cold, freezing, white, freezing, white, squishy, kind of watery, wet, and crunchy.
Good evening and welcome back to Weathering Winter as we help prepare you for the upcoming months. And as Jeff Penner knows, there is rarely an average weather year.
No, that's right. And an average is made up of extremes one way or the other over a several-year period. It's the same way for crops, meaning farmers are watching the weather very carefully, which can have a big impact on your hard-earned cash.
Bread, cereal, crackers, even soups. These items all have wheat in them. Kansas is a state that has a major wheat production. And which season is the most important? You guessed it, winter.
You want to be able to get some snow cover that'll help protect the winter wheat crop from extreme low temperatures that can almost form a blanket for several weeks at a time. But then also when that snow melts, it helps replenish the topsoil that winter wheat crop, when it breaks dormancy, is going to draw on and need that moisture. Because when that wheat crop starts growing in the spring, it can use almost an inch of moisture a week when it's going through development. And so having topsoil moisture that's there from winter weather events.
So the winter forecast is very important to farmers. It's their business, so they need to be ahead of the curve in regards to production and what the state of the crop will be like in the spring.
Understanding what cycling forecast will be like the LRC and understanding what the weather is going to be will highly determine what kind of inputs and decisions farmers are going to make over the course of the next 4 or 5 months. And as farmers have more information that they can use when it comes to predictive weather models, it can only help them make a more sustainable crop for the world.
Now to you and me. You may overlook how important this is, but it can help you from a few pennies to dollars at the grocery store.
When you think about wheat, wheat's the second most consumed calorie grain in the world. Wheat is in a lot of products. It's a very nutritional crop. It's most known probably for, of course, your bread wheat.
So now you can see the crop from Kansas is important, but also important all over the country. It directly impacts your food pantry. Does one major weather event make or break the bank?
Because when you have one event, there's enough wheat around the world that sometimes it can be absorbed. But when you have multiple weather events affecting different regions around the world, that's when it becomes really concerning and reasons when we've seen extreme price spikes in wheat.
Will we have enough moisture for wheat to produce enough? How will the temperatures be? These are all important questions you may think about the next time you see a flux in prices on your favorite foods.
Now, we will be answering those questions coming up with our winter forecast, so stick around.
All right, Jeff, hey, thanks a lot. When we forecast the possibility of snow, the Department of Transportation jumps into high gear, laying salt all over the roads. And Nicole, while the salt does help melt the snow, what is the best thing they need to do?
Exactly. I talked to the experts about what you can do to keep rust away.
As you can see, it just crumbles.
This is something you never want to see come off your car. But is salt really an instigator when it comes to rust developing on your car?
Salt and sand is a contributor due to the fact that when they put it on the ground when there's snow, tires pack snow, and as you drive down the road, it's kicking that snow off those tires up inside the wheel wells, the rockers, and the lower chassis of the car.
So what can you really do to prevent this? Well, come to find out, there isn't much.
There's not much you can do about that. I mean, as far as keeping it clean, you can extend the life of it, but eventually cars are made of metal and they're all going to rust at some point.
So what's interesting is paint actually helps metal from rusting. Keeping up on the paint will actually help prevent your car from rusting during winter months. Here are a couple of ideas to help prevent rust. So first, going through the car wash after a snow event. Then, painting clear nail polish over a chip of paint. Also, be sure to wipe down your tires with a rag to get rid of moisture. Just be sure to keep the tire area clean.
You get a nasty rock chip on the front of your hood from, let's say, a dump truck carrying some debris, and it takes a chunk out of your hood where you see bare metal. At the next car wash you go through, you're going to see corrosion within just a couple of days.
If rust develops on any of your vehicles, you want to take it to a body shop as soon as possible.
All right, with winter weather comes the looming question, do you cancel school? This is a big question many school officials are faced with before, during, and after an event. To kids, it's a simple, duh, cancel school. But for Superintendent Matt Robinson, it takes many hours, sleepless nights, and tons of communication to make the right decision.
So you actually get on the roads before you make the decision?
Oh, yeah. I'm on the roads before I make a decision. I don't think I'm the only one. We call, there's quite a few superintendents that I've got linked into my phone, and we're calling around, and hey, what's the roads like down in Lawson? What's the roads like over at East Buchanan? What's the roads like here? You know, we're calling around to see, hey, is the storm coming from the south? What's it doing? Have they already had snow? Is it blowing through? So there's a lot of communication going along with other schools.
Robinson tries to make the decision by 5:30 a.m. When schools delay or cancel class, 41 Action News works to get that information to you as soon as possible. Kaylee Dion takes us through this process.
Gary, it's 4 steps to ensure parents and kids know if they have school or not. So schools, they call our newsroom first. When they call in, they send in a personal code, which is a number. That code then allows us to know which district is canceling school. Then we jump into action and announce the closing on TV and run a crawl. You can also see the closings on our Facebook page, our Twitter page, and of course our website. That's kshb.com. And of course, most kids, they love it when you cancel school. I talked to some 3rd graders at Stanley Elementary School about what winter means to them.
Jump up and get my snowsuit on.
That you can drink hot chocolate.
Staying inside and playing a ton of board games or drinking hot chocolate. Or sometimes if there's snow, playing out in the snow. They go outside and build ramps because my brother has this. It's like a skateboard thing. You can surf down the snow and there's ramps and stuff. My stepdad, whenever he scrapes off the driveway, he normally has
a lot of big piles, so we make tunnels through them. I like sledding down the steep hill in my creek and throwing snowballs at my brother.
I try to make snowmen or build like little castles. We make walls and then we like throw snowballs.
I like snow, and I don't like it. And I like it when I don't have to go to school. Yes, and kind of sad because I would have to miss school.
Oh my.
I love her because she's sad that she's going to miss school.
I know, and last year they didn't get much to play with. So the question is, how much snow is going to fall this winter? That's next in our winter forecast. Welcome back to Weathering Winter. All right, we have identified the big features that will impact us this winter. How much snow is going to fall? We use the LRC. Let's take a look. No snow days? Hang on, kids. That was last year. Most of the kids, teachers, and parents did not have one snow day last winter, and it has started out quite warm without even a hint of a snowflake yet again this season. The weather pattern is very different from a year ago, and we will look into how many snow days we will likely have this winter. But first, let's check out how accurate our forecasts have been the past 2 years. Our snowfall forecast for last winter was for 17 inches to fall, and 14 inches fell. Our snowfall forecast 2 winters ago called for 24 inches of snow and 26 inches fell. Last winter, we forecasted major Arctic blasts in late December and again in mid-February, which were made 30 to 60 days before they actually happened. How are we getting these forecasts accurately predicted? We are using the best weather forecast method known in the field of meteorology today. LRC. There is organization to the chaos in the atmospheric flow above us. We are cracking the code and accurately predicting storm systems, cold outbreaks, wet and dry periods, weeks to months in advance. El Nino, the warming of the tropical Pacific Ocean, has become one of the strongest ever recorded. This strong El Nino is just one of the factors, and it is seemingly influencing this year's pattern already. It has the thermometer pointing up. Take a look at how much snow has fallen in Kansas City during other strong El Ninos. Kansas City had 31.4 inches one big El Nino winter. The strongest El Nino ever in 1997-1998 had nearly 20 inches of snow. Only one of the strong El Ninos had below average snowfall. Something else, something bigger is going on, and our knowledge of the cycling weather pattern, the LRC, and other factors have all come together to create a wild weather pattern this winter. Here's what we see at this early date. One big storm track became established in recent weeks, and the biggest and wettest storm systems will come out of the southern Rocky Mountain states and track into the plains to the Great Lakes. California will get more snow and rain than they have seen in years, and the deep south will likely be quite wet, with flooding rains from Texas and Louisiana north into Arkansas and parts of Missouri. There will likely be a major winter storm between Christmas and New Year's, and an even bigger storm system during the first week of 2016. These will also cycle through between the middle of February to the first week of March. Will it be cold enough for snow and ice, or will it just be heavy rain? We are forecasting it to be just cold enough for snow, and the conditions will become favorable for a major ice storm, possibly across parts of Missouri and Kansas. For Kansas City, we are forecasting 23 inches of snow this winter, which means there is a very good chance of at least 2 or 3 snow days.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you.
Expect above average temperatures in most areas of the United States this winter. This will likely mean that most of our snowfalls will be heavier and wetter with big snowflakes, which will be great for making your favorite snow creatures. Coming up, we'll find out if Kaylee, JD, Nicole, and Jeff, what their takes are on this winter forecast. It's all coming up next. All right, you heard my winter forecast, 23 inches of snow. We are beginning a wild ride of winter. The question is, from our weather team, what do you guys see? What's your analysis? Kaylee, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm going to go with 22 inches of snow. I think the last couple of years we haven't been in the right spot. I think we're in the right spot, which means more moisture and more snowfall each system that moves through.
So it's going to be good news for the kids perhaps a few times.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, if they like snow.
Yeah.
JD, what do you think?
We were a little lower last year, so keeping that in mind and using a bit of the LRC this year, we had a storm system come through a couple weeks ago, brought us a lot of rain. If that same system comes through and brings us the same type of moisture with snow, we could see a lot. If that system comes through twice, we could see a lot of snow, so I went with 30 inches.
30 inches of snow.
A little higher. 30.
Okay, he's going a little bit on the upper side. Okay, meteorologist Jeff Henner, what do you think?
Well, you showed me the LRC 25 years ago, so I totally used that. I think we're in the right spot. We're getting a lot of wet storms to move in. However, I'm a little concerned about the availability of cold air, so I think I'm going to go 21 inches of snow only because of the number of storm systems and as much moisture. So I think we'll still end up getting a decent amount of snow this year, a little over average.
So could all 23 inches fall in one storm or 21 inches?
It's possible. It's possible. The biggest ever is 24 inches. They can do it.
Just one storm could do it.
That's all.
Nicole, welcome to our weather team, by the way, this year.
Well, thank you.
What are your thoughts?
I'm going with 20 inches.
Okay.
A little bit on the lower side, but I'm thinking that, we're in the right spots, but the amount of warm air that we're going to have, I think we're going to see a little bit more of a mix in some situations. So it's going to be interesting.
But still, let's take a look at all of our totals and do a little analysis here. We got 23, 22, 30, 21, and 20. So if we take JD's out, I'm just kidding. I hope JD's right. The most snow we've ever had in the season, by the way, is 65 inches of snow. So we'll see what happens. It's beginning. Great job, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you to our weather team, to Candy, our producer, the whole production crew. Thank you so much for your work on this weather special. We will be there for you. Stay with 41 Action News, and we will keep you advised this winter.